This is a short video about the A-type microphone or A format microphone and the Zoom recorder. So this is actually a Zoom F8, which is very similar to the Zoom F4, but it's got 8 inputs on it instead of 4. You get 8 knobs on the front. Otherwise it's very similar. So I'm going to start with the microphone. This is an A format microphone. So if you can have a look close there, it's got 4 separate microphone capsules. Each of these black circles is a cardioid directional microphone, and they're arranged in a tetrahedral shape. So you've got kind of a 4-sided pyramid, essentially, that they're arranged in. So they're equally spaced, and they pick up the entire sound field. So the other word for this is a sound field microphone. And this cage on the outside just protects the mics that are in there. It's called the Reynolds A-Type4. So it's got 4 capsules and it's an A format microphone. General rule with microphones is where the logo is, the name is the front. So if you can see this logo, and the front of the microphone is in line with that. It's halfway between these 2 capsules on the front. That's the front left up, it's called. So if you've got the logo in front of you, the front facing upward one is front left up, front right down, and then back left down, and back right up. And that's the general order of the 4 capsules on an A-type microphone. It's got a multi-pin connector on the bottom, which has a little tiny triangle. If you can see that little triangle there, that is a locator which we line up with the cable. So the cable has also got a very small little triangle, which if we line up with the triangle on the connector and push them together, they lock in place. So I now can't pull that out unless I pull back this little sleeve. So when it's in place it locks, but if you pull that back, and it only pulls back a couple of millimeters, then it'll unlock. So I'll show you that again. That's locked. So if I pull from this plastic part, it's stuck, it's not coming out. If I pull this little thing back, it removes. So that's important to remember. Don't just keep yanking on it if it doesn't come out. Come up here and pull back the little thing, and it hardly moves, but it releases it. So there's a little locking tab in there that lets it out. So it's not a very long cable. It's about 2 meters, but it's long enough to get from a microphone up on a stand down to a recorder that could be on the ground, and it just means it's easy to deal with and not too bulky to carry around. So the other end of the cable is 4 separate what are called XLR connectors. They've got 3 pins each, and they are numbered. So if you have a look very closely on these wires, that one says number 1. So they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're also color-coded red, orange, yellow, green. So that makes it easier to spot if you can't see the numbers on the cables close up. They plug into inputs 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your recorder. So you see how this F8 has actually got inputs on both sides. These are the XLR inputs for 1, so red goes into 1, orange goes into 2, and if you can see that Neutrik logo on the top, that is up. So that will always line up with where the little push button is, and will be upright. So red, orange, yellow, green, 1, 2, 3, 4. These XLRs again are locking, so they're held in place until you press this push button. If I hold that down, I can put it out. Otherwise, it's locked in place. which is handy so it won't pull out when you don't want it to. We'll deal with the other end of the cable now. First of all, we need a windshield. So this is a Rycote BBG, it's called. It's in 2 halves, which lock together. When they go click, these lines line up, and it says lock and a little arrow there. So if you can, they're quite stiff, you have to kind of force it a bit, but that's 2 halves. The microphone fits in from the inside. You might have to turn it a bit to get it in there. It's quite a tight fit so that no wind can get in around the bottom. You want it to go all the way down so that the mic sits about halfway down inside the basket. And we put the lid on like this and click. So that is sealed in. There's no wind is able to get in there now. And I'll pop on my connector. You can sometimes just turn it until it finds its place, but usually best to find the little triangles. There's one, and there's my other one. You can just leave this plugged in inside the box, so you needn't really take it out. So that's plugged in now. The next bit is this shock mount. So you've got a kind of rubbery clip here which goes around the mic, and I want to put that on so that I can see the logo on the front. I know that that's the front now. It grabs hold of it with its kind of rubbery clip there. This part is flexible, so that means any vibration that comes into here gets absorbed by these rubbery parts and doesn't get to the microphone. So that's one of the problems with sensitive microphones, is they'll pick up absolutely everything. So if I turn this guy on, so if you hold down the little power button for a few seconds, it powers up. I'll pop this out of the way. This is an F8, which is the 8-channel version of what we've got to play with. So on this one you can have an A format on one side and other mics in at the same time. You can see on the front screen my voice is creating a level on these meters on 4 inputs. So inputs 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that corresponds to these 1, 2, 3 and 4 here. You've got SD card slots on the side where your memory goes in, and on the other side you've got a headphone socket, which is where you plug your headphones in. You've got a headphone level on the front, which gets quite noisy if you turn it up too high, and these guys across the front arm the recorder ready for recording. If you notice, when I click that 1, 2, 3 and 4, these red lights come on here, and that means it's now armed for recording. So if I hit record, it starts to count here. Notice this counter is already going, so that starts running as soon as you turn the machine on. This gives you your battery level up the top here. So it should be above 9 volts. My batteries are getting a bit flat. Rechargeable. So another thing, these PFL buttons on the front. So if you only want to hear that first channel, that will now be sent to headphones. So you can check each mic individually and make sure they're all functioning. If you unclick, it goes back to this page where you can see all the red lights are on and it's recording. So one of the most important things on here in the menu is, if I click menu and I go to input, so you use this little wheel to scroll up and down, and you click on the wheel to select. So I'm going for input, and then I want to find trim link. here. This is really important. So these first 4 channels are grouped on group A. So if I unclick those, all of these channels are now independent. If I group them together by making them all blue, group A is now controlled by this first knob. So I can have these 4 down, but this one here is controlling the level of all the others. If you notice, I turn it right up, they're all giving the same sort of level on the meters. If I turn it right down, similarly, there's nothing showing. So that shows that this one is controlling these 4. So that's what's called linked gains, or trim link, which is very important, so that these 4 are all at the same level. If they're not the same, then your spatial image gets skewed. So it's very important that you have a recorder with the trim links on, which is why we've chosen this Zoom recorder. So if I click menu, that goes back out of this list of menus that are in there, and brings you back to the main page. If I go menu again and input again by clicking this, the other important thing is phantom power. So you can see it's turned on for the first 4 capsules, the first 4 inputs. If I go back one again, we've got 48 volts. So that's the standard power level for powering condenser mics. So this microphone needs some volts to work. If there's no phantom power, your output level will be very, very low. So it powers little amplifiers that are inside here. And that is about all you need to know, really. Hit stop to press stop. There's lots of other functions that the Zoom recorders are capable of. You've got time code and main outputs and all sorts of other business, but a lot of it you don't really need to know about. This high-rose power connector is quite handy, but if you can deal with the bits that I've just mentioned, that will set you up pretty well to make recordings. One thing to watch out for, so if I hold this button down, power button, for a few seconds, it switches off. The battery pack is on the back here. Unscrew the little thing there. This sled pulls out, and that's got 8 AA batteries in it. They're rechargeable, but they don't last for that long, so you need to keep some backups around and make sure you're continually recharging. And you can also get external battery packs that plug in on here, or you get a DC in, which is if you're indoors, you can plug it into the mains. So this battery pack doesn't last very long. That's important to remember. But that is about it. So you've got a 4-channel recorder and a 4-channel microphone. In general, if you set this up so that it's upright and vertical, underneath the camera, as close to the camera as possible, then this is the ears of the recording and the camera is your eyes. So there you go, A-Type microphone and Zoom recorder. Your Zoom F8s, F4s will be slightly different looking from this, but largely similar functions. If you're stuck, I think there are manuals for these recorders around in lots of different languages, so hopefully that will set you up. Thank you.